Each year, a salutatorian is selected from the graduating class at Brookings Harbor High School. To be eligible for the award, a student must successfully complete 5 advanced or college-level core courses. Of the students who meet that criteria, the student with the second highest grade point average over their entire school years receives this award. The salutatorian wears a special medallion on the front of their gown. This year, 3 students tied for the honor of salutatorian. I'll ask those 3 students to come up on the stage as I call their names. Javin, Fleshman. Lindley. Meredith, Horel.
This is what he told me. Speeches are like a woman's dress. They have to be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to keep your attention. Watterson, Kerr, McClellan, Budge, Coffee, Fowler, Good, Mr. K, Rose, Fern, Leonard, Warren, Stearns, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper, Shepard, Padilla, Hanscom, Cox, Jones, Cavanis, Moffett, Fulton, Sherion, Gordon, Timberlake, Mueller, Wilson, Lee, the other Fulton, Solar, Rayleigh, Norman, Boat, Baser for a little while, Young, Hilliard, Aponitis, Keys, Kinney, Morin, Babcock, Berkowitz, Pierren, Mr. Dingle, and last but not least, Mr. Wells. And thanks to him and his anatomy and physiology class, I got 1 B in 4 years of high school. These 46 teachers have educated me throughout 14 years of schooling here in Brookings, all the way from preschool to my senior year. Without them, my parents, Doug Fleshman and Brendan Aaron Robbins, family and friends, I would never be standing here right now. It's a great feeling that we're finally done with high school. Now it's time for most of us to move on to something bigger, college, and starting our lives. I haven't been admitted to Oregon Institute in Common Falls, where I will be studying for my Bachelor's of Science in Medical Imaging Technology. I am sure going to miss a lot about Brookings while in Common Falls, the beaches, Checo River, the beautiful mountains, the unpredictable weather, and of course all my family and friends. This is it, class of 2011. We made it.
So, like any diligent, successful high school student would, I sat myself down last night and started writing. After much deliberation, I decided I wanted to remind the class of 2011 of some advice I've learned from my teachers over the last 4 years. From Mr. Wilson, I learned that winning is nice, but just have fun because you get ice cream anyway. From Mrs. Cleeseby's, I learned that 7:16 is not an acceptable time to be anywhere but in class. From Mr. Bueller, I learned to ask straightforward questions, because when I would ask, is the test Tuesday or Wednesday, and he would answer, yes, I would be very frustrated. From Mrs. Karen, I learned that steady groups are a very, very good idea. From Mr. Dingle, I learned that size does matter, and that war is bad. And finally, from Mr. Aponitis, I learned that in college, it's every man for themselves, but I'm pretty sure that's just what people with no friends say. And to all those teachers that I didn't mention, I did learn things from you, and I thank you, but I don't have a minute to speak.
Good afternoon, class of 2011, family, and friends. It feels pretty good to stand before you today. One of the most important parts of high school for me has been my friends. I wouldn't be standing here without my study group that Meredith mentioned before. Physics and calculus are not a cakewalk. It was challenging, and at times it felt impossible to get through those classes, but at study group, things seemed to smooth out, and then we'd get in the hot tub. Meredith, you encouraged me. You told me that I could do things that I never thought I would be able to do, and then I did. And I kept surprising myself because of you. Gage Northrup, you relieved stress like no one else could by making the whole room roll in laughter. Tommy, you pushed me to follow through and to remember to do my assignments, among a lot of other things that I would have forgotten. Sierra, you asked questions that everyone else was wondering but didn't have the guts to ask. And Eileen, you're a resource. You understand when no one else does, and then you help us. You're great. But most importantly, all of my friends have been the kind of influence that I needed, the kind who give me the courage to succeed. I want to thank my mom for teaching me how to do infinite things, things that one doesn't realize you need to learn, helping to keep things simple and only doing what I could and leaving the rest to God. Thank you, Dad, for talking to me about school when it was hard to walk through the doors, for going through life before me, showing me in advance where I needed to set my sights. And to Jennifer, my little sister, thank you for all the fashion advice, saxophone help, and emotional support. And good luck, because Mom and Dad are now entirely exhausted because I have been a handful. Thank you.